Well now, I wonder if you've ever noticed something rather peculiar about yourself. Something you might try not to look at too closely, like a strange mark on the wall you prefer to ignore. It's this: you are almost constantly running. Oh, not always on your feet, though sometimes that too. No, I mean a running inside. A psychological flight. You wake up in the morning, and before you've even tasted the coffee, you're off, running through the day's appointments, running from a conversation you had yesterday, running towards a goal that's always just over there. Tomorrow, next year, when I finally get there. And if you were to stop just for a moment and feel into this running, what is it you're running from? It's yourself, isn't it? Or rather, it's a feeling, a sensation in the pit of your stomach, a tightness in the chest, a faint, high-pitched hum in the background of your mind. We have a word for it, a clinical, heavy word: anxiety. And my goodness, we will do anything to get away from it. We'll go to doctors for pills. We'll read books by the dozen. We'll chant affirmations in the mirror. I am calm. I am confident. I am at peace. We'll put on a brave face for our friends, for our family, for ourselves. We imagine that one day, after we've run fast enough and far enough, we'll finally arrive at a magical place where this feeling doesn't exist. We call this place happiness, or success, or peace of mind. We think it's a destination. But what if I were to tell you that the very act of running away from this feeling is the very thing that makes it chase you? What if the cure you're searching for so frantically is the one thing you are trying your hardest to avoid? What if the medicine tastes not like bitter poison, but like nothing at all, like simply stopping? The cure for anxiety, you see, is not what you think it is. It's a colossal joke, a cosmic giggle at your expense. And the punchline is this: you are what you're seeking. So, let's begin, shall we, with the very instrument that causes us all this delightful trouble, the human mind. Now, don't misunderstand me. The mind is a truly marvelous thing, an evolutionary masterpiece. It is in its essence a troubleshooter, a problem-solving machine, a magnificent biological computer whose primary function is to scan the environment and ask in a very earnest voice, now then, what could possibly go wrong here? And for a long, long time, this was an absolutely splendid trick for survival. Our ancestor, let's call him Og, is walking through the tall grass. The troubleshooter mind whispers, "Psst, Og, a rustle in the grass. Could be a lion. Let's have a little shot of adrenaline, shall we? Just to be safe." And Og runs, and Og lives. The mind notices the gathering storm clouds, the suspicious-looking berry, the rival from the next cave. It rings a little bell of warning. We call that warning fear or anxiety, and it keeps us alive. It's a brilliant servant. But now, here's the problem. Og doesn't live in the tall grass anymore. He lives in a high-rise apartment. He doesn't worry about lions. He worries about his stock portfolio. He doesn't worry about a bad berry. He worries about people talking behind his back. And his troubleshooter mind, well, it's gotten rather out of hand. It's like a radar dish that was designed to spot ships on the horizon. But it's become so powerful, so sensitive, that it's now picking up static from distant galaxies. It's worrying about things that aren't there. It's worrying about what might happen in a meeting next Thursday. It's worrying about a slight, an imagined slight from 6 years ago. It's worrying about the meaning of life at 3 o'clock in the morning when you desperately need to sleep. This troubleshooter is constantly on, scanning, scanning, scanning. And we, in our modern culture, have made a fatal error. We have come to identify with this troubleshooter. We think that's who we are. We point to our head and say, "This is me. I am the thinker of these thoughts." We believe that the frantic, chattering voice in our skull is the pilot of the ship, the captain, the real you. But let me ask you this. What happens when you identify yourself with the part of your being whose entire raison d'etre is to worry, whose very job description is to look for problems? Why you are defining your fundamental identity as being in a perpetual state of anxiety. You are saying, I am a problem finder. And if you are a problem finder, what must you always have? Problems. You need them to confirm your existence. And so you see, you create a perfect vicious circle. A feedback loop of exquisite absurdity. It goes like this. You feel anxious, a vague unease, the troubleshooter, which you think is you, kicks in. Aha, it says. A problem, anxiety, this is no good, we must fix this. So you try to fix it. You try to think positive thoughts. You try to meditate it away. You try to analyze it, to find its root cause in your childhood. But wait, what are you doing? You are using the troubleshooter, the problem-finding mind, to solve the problem of the problem-finding mind being too active. It's like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. The very effort to fix the anxiety is itself an anxious act. You're anxious about being anxious. You're worried about your worry. You are trying to grab hold of your own coat collar and lift yourself off the ground. It's a magnificent and hilarious spectacle. You spin around and around, and your feet never leave the floor. It's just not going to work. The instrument you are using is the wrong tool for the job. The mind cannot grasp itself. There's a famous saying in Zen that I've always loved. Trying to define yourself is like trying to bite your own teeth. Have you ever tried it? It's an impossibility. The biter and the bitten are the same. The eye cannot see itself directly. It sees everything else. The mind, in its frantic attempt to grasp its own nature, to fix itself, only creates more turbulence. It's like a pool of water. Have you ever come across a pond that is all muddy and churned up? How do you clear it? Do you get in there with a big stick and stir it faster? Do you send in a submarine to try and filter it? No, of course not. That would be madness. You leave it alone. You let it be. You allow the mud to settle, all by itself in its own good time. And as it settles, the water becomes clear, and you can see all the way to the bottom. But we are not like that with our minds, are we? We are always in a rush. We are always grabbing at the water with our thoughts, stirring it up, trying to fix its muddiness. I shouldn't be so muddy. I need to be clear water. But the command to be clear is just another handful of mud. We are trying to fix ourselves, and the very effort of fixing is the thing that keeps us perpetually muddled. We've been sold a story, a grand and terrible myth. The story is that life is a journey to a place called security. We are all pilgrims on the road to the celestial city of safety. We are taught from a very young age that the goal is to build a fortress of money, of status, of relationships, of beliefs. We want a guaranteed future. We want to know that everything is going to be okay, permanently, finally. This desire, this deep-seated craving for security is the very root of our anxiety. Because we are building our sandcastles on the shore of the ocean, and we are demanding that the tide never come in. But the universe, my dear friends, is not a fixed thing. It is not a still photograph. It is a constant, flowing, wiggly river. I often call it a wiggly world. Look at it. The clouds are not cubes. The mountains are not pyramids. The trees are not telephone poles. Everything is in a state of flow. Everything is vibrating, changing, dying, and being born. Your own body is a stream. You are not the same collection of atoms you were 7 years ago. You are a process like a flame or a whirlpool. You are a pattern that maintains itself for a while, but it is a flowing pattern. Now, the more you try to build a permanent, stable structure in the middle of this river, the more frantic you will become. You build a beautiful little sandcastle. Let's call it My Successful Career. You pat it down, you put flags on it, and then you see the river lapping at the edges, a company restructuring, a new technology, a change in the market, and you panic. You run around building moats and walls, trying to hold back the water. But the water is the reality. You are resisting the fundamental nature of things. You are, in a sense, at war with life itself. I've often said, the desire for security and the fear of insecurity are the same thing. Think about that very carefully. To want to be secure is to be acutely aware that you are not secure. It's a confession of insecurity. It's like holding your breath. You only hold your breath when you're afraid there's no air to breathe. But the air is all around you. The effort to be secure is an insecure act. It's a tension, a contraction. You build a fort to feel safe. But in building the fort, what have you done? You have acknowledged that you feel unsafe. And now you have a new problem. You have to worry about the fort. Is the wall strong enough? Is there a crack? Are there enemies at the gate? The more you build, the more you have to defend. The more you have to lose. The more you have to worry about. The whole of civilized life, in many ways, is this marvelous, elaborate, breath-holding contest. Everyone is running around, cheeks puffed out, faces turning blue, taut as a drum, thinking, if I can just hold on a little longer, I'll be safe. But you'll suffocate. What would happen if you just let the breath out? What would happen if you simply admitted openly and honestly that there is no such thing as security? That insecurity is not a problem to be solved, but the very nature of existence. The problem isn't the wiggly, flowing, changing nature of the world. The problem is our ridiculous, steadfast, stubborn expectation that it should be otherwise. The problem is our demand for a photograph when we are living in a movie. When we fall in love with the idea of a certain predictable future, we are setting ourselves up for a profound and continuous disappointment. The future, you see, is a ghost, a concept. It does not exist. There is only ever now, this moment. And when we live for a future where all our anxieties are solved, we are chasing a will-o'-the-wisp, a phantom light that dances over the marsh, always receding just as we approach. We say, I'll be happy when I get the promotion. You get the promotion, and for a moment, there's a flash of pleasure. But then the mind immediately moves the goalposts. All right, now I'll really be happy when I get the corner office. And on it goes, until the future. And ourselves vanish into the abyss of death, having never truly lived, because we were always preparing to live later. And what a great crashing relief it is to realize that you don't have to carry this burden. You don't have to build the perfect fortress. You don't have to ensure the outcome. The universe is already unfolding. It's happening. You are not the director of this movie. You are a character in it. And when you stop trying to write the script for the next act, you can finally relax and enjoy the show that's happening right now. This brings us to the heart of the paradox. The more you fight a feeling, the more power you give it. It's a fundamental law of psychology and of the universe. Resistance creates persistence. When a person becomes anxious about being anxious, or fearful of being afraid, they have entered a state of what I would call meta-anxiety. It's anxiety squared. The original anxiety might be about something specific, say giving a speech. But now, layered on top of that, is a new, more powerful anxiety. The terror of having anxiety during the speech. What if I panic? What if my mind goes blank? What if people see I'm nervous? So what does this person do? They try to fix it. They read all the books on confidence. They practice power poses in the mirror. They rehearse their lines until they're blue in the face. But can you see what's happening? Their entire focus is on not being nervous. They are therefore concentrating with tremendous intensity on the very thing they wish to avoid. By focusing on not being nervous, their mind is constantly, vigilantly monitoring for any sign of nervousness. It's like being told, whatever you do, do not think of a pink elephant. What is the only thing you can think of? The anxiety is no longer about the speech. The speech is almost incidental. The anxiety is now about the performance of the self. It's about the fear of the anxiety itself. The effort to control the feeling has become the primary source of suffering. This is a classic double bind, a no-win situation. It's like being told you must be spontaneous. The command destroys the possibility. The attempt to escape your own mind only tightens its grip like a Chinese finger trap. This is why so much of what passes for self-help is ultimately self-defeating. It's based on this model of the self as a thing that needs to be helped, fixed, improved. It emphasizes forcing yourself into a state of positivity, of future-oriented goal setting. But the positive thinker, by their very effort, is constantly emphasizing the negative reality they are trying to escape. They are saying, I am not positive enough, so I must become positive. They are perpetually living for a future state of mind they will never attain, because when that future arrives, it will simply be the new present moment, and the mind will have already found something else to fix. As I once put it, if happiness always depends on something expected in the future, we are chasing a will-o'-the-wisp that ever eludes our grasp until the future and ourselves vanish into the abyss of death. The entire game of trying to fix yourself is a great cosmic joke. It's the ultimate shell game. The ego, this little self-concept that we call me, is the troubleshooter. It is the part that identifies problems. But the ego itself, this sense of being a separate, fragile self inside a bag of skin, is the primary problem it is trying to solve. It's a doctor who is also the disease, who makes his own patients, and then gives himself a raise every time he appears to cure them. It's a magnificent self-perpetuating illusion. And the only way to win this game is to stop playing, to see the game for what it is. So, if the cure is not trying harder, not fixing, not analyzing, not running, what on earth is it? It is surrender. It is letting go. And this, right here, is where most people get terribly confused. They hear surrender, and they think it means defeat. They think it means becoming a passive doormat, abandoning all responsibility, lying down on the floor and waiting for life to run you over. They think it's a counsel of despair. Nothing could be further from the truth. Surrender, in this sense, is not resignation. It is not giving up. It is giving in to what is. It is stopping the futile struggle against the current of life. It is the ultimate act of intelligence. Think of learning to swim. The beginner, the person who is terrified of the water, what do? They grab at the water, they flail, they thrash about with their arms and legs, fighting the water, trying to dominate it, to push it down so they can stay up. And what happens? They sink, they exhaust themselves, they panic. Why? Because they are fighting the very medium that can support them. Now watch the expert swimmer. What are they doing? They are relaxed, they are not fighting the water, they are cooperating with it, they trust it. They allow themselves to float. They understand that the water has a certain buoyancy, a certain rhythm. They use its power to move. They become one with the water. They are in a kind of dance with it. I often use this analogy. To have faith is to trust yourself to the water. When you swim, you don't grab hold of the water, because if you do, you will sink and drown. Instead, you relax and float. This is the surrender I'm talking about. It is an active, dynamic, intelligent relaxation into the flow of existence. It is not doing nothing. It is doing what is appropriate to the situation without the added frantic effort of the ego trying to control the universe. In this act of surrender, a remarkable transformation occurs. We begin to realize that we are not separate from the stream. We are the stream. This sense of being a lonely, isolated little self, a tiny boat tossed about on a giant ocean that begins to dissolve. You realize the boat is made of ocean. Your strength is not your own little puny ego strength. It becomes the strength of the current itself. You are not a visitor in the universe. You are a manifestation of the universe. The anxiety that comes from feeling like a temporary, accidental speck in a vast, uncaring cosmos that is a self-imposed hallucination, a bad dream. Surrendering to the flow does not mean you stop acting. It means you act in alignment with the natural rhythms of life. It's the difference between forcing a rosebud to open with your fingers and providing it with sun and water and allowing it to bloom in its own time. It's the difference between trying to fall asleep, which is the surest way to stay awake, and simply allowing yourself to rest. And here is the final delicious paradox. The effort to let go is itself a form of grasping. True letting go happens when you see the futility of holding on. It happens when you stop trying to let go. It is a happening, not a doing. The secret, the great discovery, is to see that you are not in the world, but you are the world. You are not a thing that has come into existence. You are the way the universe manifests and expresses itself at this particular point, in this particular form. And when you feel that, not as a philosophical idea, but in your bones, in your blood, it changes everything. This whole understanding is what I tried to capture in The Wisdom of Insecurity. We are relentlessly taught to seek security. Our entire culture is a monument to the attempt to deny death, to avoid change, to create permanence. But I am suggesting that the only real security lies in embracing the fundamental insecurity of life. Security is a fantasy. It's a concept we hold in our heads, a desperate wish. But reality is change, apatheia, the Greeks called it, flow. To be in accord with the Tao, as the Chinese sages said, is to move with the grain of the universe, not against it. The meaning of life is just to be alive. It is so plain and so obvious and so simple. And yet everybody rushes around in a great panic as if it were necessary to achieve something beyond themselves. What is that something beyond themselves? It's this phantom of security, this imaginary future state of perfection. But when you embrace the fact that life is inherently insecure, that it is a dance on the edge of a volcano, a great weight lifts, you stop demanding that life be a certain way. You start to appreciate it for what it is, a dynamic, unpredictable, improvisational jazz piece. And you are not just the listener, you are one of the musicians playing along. The cure for anxiety, therefore, is not to eliminate insecurity. That is impossible. The cure is to fall in love with the insecurity, to see it not as a threat, but as the very thing that makes life vivid and precious. If life were secure, if it were predictable, it would be like a record stuck in a groove. It would be insufferably boring. The uncertainty is the space in which freedom and creativity play. When you truly feel this, the sensation of anxiety loses its terrifying power. It's just a wave on the ocean of your being. You don't try to stop the wave. You don't build a wall against it. You don't run from it. You just feel it. You allow it to be. You turn towards it with curiosity instead of fear. You say, so this is what a wave of anxiety feels like. Interesting. Tingling in the hands, tightness in the chest, very vivid. And in that simple, non-judgmental awareness, without resistance, the wave rises, it peaks, and it dissolves back into the vast, calm depth of the ocean from which it came. It passes through you. It doesn't stick around because you're no longer feeding it with your resistance. This realization brings a sense of playful lightness to our existence. Life ceases to be a serious problem to be solved. It becomes a game to be played, a drama to be enjoyed. The anxieties and worries, which once seemed so solid, so real, so oppressive, are revealed as merely the shifting patterns on the surface of the great underlying reality. They are the ripples, not the water. By letting go of our obsession with certainty, we can finally stop fighting and start living, truly living. All right, I hear you say, this is all very well and good, it sounds beautiful. But how does one actually do this? I'm sitting here, my mind is racing, my stomach is in knots. How do I surrender? How do I embrace insecurity? It sounds like just another thing I have to do, and I'm already exhausted. A very fair question. And the answer, as you might suspect, is paradoxical. It's not about doing anything. It's about a shift in attention, a change in perspective. It's about discovering who you really are. The first and most fundamental step is to recognize that you are not your thoughts. You are not the frantic voice in your head. That voice is the troubleshooter. It's a tool, a very good one, but it is not the master of the house. It is not you. You are the space in which the thoughts arise. You are the awareness that is aware of the anxiety. This is a subtle but utterly profound shift. It's the key to the whole thing. When you feel anxious, instead of saying, I am anxious, try saying, I am aware of a feeling of anxiety. Do you feel the difference? In the first statement, you are identified with the feeling. You and the anxiety are one and the same. It has consumed you. In the second statement, there is a tiny crucial distance. There is you, the aware space, and there is the feeling, which is a temporary guest in that space. You are the sky. The anxiety is just a cloud passing through. The sky doesn't become the cloud. It doesn't try to push the cloud away. It simply, silently witnesses it. It allows the cloud to be. And in that allowing, in that witnessing without attachment, the cloud has less and less power. It is just weather. It changes, it passes. The second step is to stop living in the future. The future is the anxiety-producing machine. It's the factory where all your worries are manufactured. It's what keeps you running. What if this happens? What if that doesn't happen? But the future is a ghost. It is never ever here. The only thing that is ever here is now, this moment, right now. So when you find yourself caught in that frantic rush of worry, just stop. Literally stop what you're doing. Take a breath and bring your attention completely into the present moment. What do you find? Not the story about the moment, but the direct sensory experience of it. What do you see? The light on the wall, the grain of the wood on your desk. What do you hear? The hum of the computer, a bird outside the window. What do you feel? The weight of your body in the chair, the sensation of your clothes on your skin, the breath moving in and out of your body. The anxiety is not in the direct experience of the present moment. The anxiety is in the story about the future that you are telling yourself in the present moment. The moment you drop the story and come back to the raw, simple, undeniable facts of the here and now, the anxiety loses its fuel. It may not vanish completely, but it will quiet down. It has to, because you're no longer paying attention to its frantic chatter. You're listening to the bird instead. As I've said, the real secret of life is to be completely engaged with what you are doing in the here and now. And instead of calling it work, realize it is play. And finally, the third step is to stop taking yourself so seriously. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, is playing this magnificent game of hide and seek with itself. It is having a tremendous amount of fun. It creates galaxies and novas and black holes for the sheer joy of it. It creates sunsets and waterfalls and the laughter of children. And it creates you with all your anxieties and triumphs. But we take our little part in this drama so seriously. We are so invested in our little story, our little ego sandcastle, that we forget it's all just a divine play, a cosmic joke. We are like an actor on stage who has forgotten he is acting and believes he is truly Hamlet, truly in danger. I've had moments, and I wish them for you, of what I can only call profound cosmic laughter. It's not laughter at anything. It's not cynical. It's a laughter that comes from the belly of the universe itself. It's the moment when you realize the absolute absurdity of your own seriousness, the hilarious contradiction of being a temporary, wiggly expression of the eternal universe worrying about its temporariness. And in that laughter, the anxiety has no place to hide. It is laughed away. So let me conclude by bringing us full circle. The ultimate cure for anxiety is not a technique to be mastered. It is not a 10-step program. It is not a pill. It is not a mantra. It is a shift in perception, a metanoia, a turning about in the deepest seat of consciousness. It is the realization that the separate, anxious ego, the me that feels so lonely and fragile, is a hoax, a temporary formation, a convincing character in a dream, and that our deepest nature is not separate from the universe, but is the universe itself, conscious and awake. The cure is in the surrender of control. It is in the acceptance of uncertainty. It is in the embrace of the present moment as the only reality we will ever have. My philosophy does not offer a quick fix. It offers a profound reorientation. It asks us to question our deepest, most cherished assumptions about who and what we are. When we stop believing in the illusion of a separate self, that needs to be perpetually protected, improved, and made secure, the anxiety that is built into that very illusion begins to dissolve. It has no foundation to stand on. We can finally rest. We can rest in the knowledge that we are not a ship being tossed about on a hostile ocean. We are the ocean itself. We are both the wave, the individual, temporary, anxious expression, and the water, the eternal, boundless, silent depth. We are the dance of energy that has been going on for 14 billion years. And we are the awareness watching the dance. The cure for anxiety, it turns out, is to simply stop trying to cure it, to stop running from yourself, and to allow yourself to be fully, completely, and unapologetically alive, to be what you already are, this, here, now.